External and domestic challenges may keep Philippine growth below 6% in the next few years. PIDS Senior Research Fellow John Paulo Rivera sees 2025 GDP at 5.3 to 5.7%, citing higher U.S. tariffs, weaker exports, and rising rice import costs. He warns that a construction slowdown and job losses could further drag services and related industries, keeping 2026 growth at 5.5 to 6%. Let's get more insights on the various challenges faced by the Philippine economy. John Paulo Rivera, Senior Research Fellow of the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, joins us via Zoom. JP, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Well, firstly, the country's gross domestic product grew by 5.5% in the second quarter. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, when I heard that it's at 5.5%, it is actually a decent print. It is slightly quicker than the Q1, and it is in line with government expectations. And this actually shows the resilience of the Philippine economy amidst the weak global trade and very tight policy.
But what do you think drove the economy's growth during the second quarter?
Well, the main growth drivers would remain to be household consumption. It has remained sturdy. And this is actually because of inflation really slowing down significantly. Government consumption also reaccelerated with many government agencies' budget utilization rate on target. And actually, services also led the supply side with faster quarter-on-quarter gains.
But do you expect this upward trend to continue in the coming quarters?
Well, optimistically speaking, this uptrend will continue in the near term, but moderately. I'm very cautious about this one because in this inflation coupled with job support consumption, public spending pipelines can actually help that. But there will always remain to be headwinds, such as soft private capital expenditures, the lag in construction, as what I have mentioned previously, no? And again, the persistence of external uncertainties, the policy uncertainties in the United States affecting our domestic economy.
Now, growth was seen across the services, agriculture, and industry sectors. What do you think contributed to this?
Well, that's actually a great development because all three sectors grew. For example, in services, it has actually been driven by tourism adjacent activities, including transport, trade, business services. They benefited from low inflation and the remaining tailwinds. For agriculture, we have seen slight recovery, and this has actually been assisted by improved weather and inputs from quarter two and lower fuel and fertilizer costs. But what's interesting is on industry, because manufacturing has actually stabilized, construction mixed performance, but it is actually supported by public works and government spending.
A lot of things right there. But earlier, we heard DepDev Secretary Arsenio Balisaca, and he said that Trump's 100% tariff on semiconductors will not have major effect. Do you agree?
Well, I would broadly agree because it is still manageable in the near term. The announced plan actually included, if I'm not mistaken, carve-outs or exemptions tied to U.S. manufacturing commitments like Apple and others. No? So big foundries like U.S. fabs, no? TSMC, Samsung, and so on. It appeared to be shielded, and then PH exports are mostly back-end anyway. Assembly tests in global chains. No? We're participating at the back end. However, as what I can see, that this 100% tariff would actually threaten to disrupt our semiconductor and electronics value chain industry in the medium term to long term, especially if the Philippines, no, we would lack production commitments similar to those commitments granted to major firms like Apple. But at the onset, no, the most immediate impact could be a sharp drop in demand for our chip-enabled exports. But this can happen from the medium term to the long term. But so far, I would broadly agree that it is still manageable.
Well, that's a good analysis in that aspect. But earlier you said that you're expecting moderate growth in the coming quarters. So what is your GDP outlook for the third quarter? Gaano ba ka-moderate itong moderate and the rest of the year probably? And what are the factors likely to influence it?
Well, because the third quarter doesn't anymore include the impact of election spending on the economy, I would still see a positive growth, no? A growth, and this could be moderately growing around 5.6 to 5.8% for quarter three, barring any weather or climate change disturbances to our domestic production. And given that figure for the full year, I would see that the full year GDP would hover around 5.7 to 6% optimistically, with midpoint around 5.9%. And the upside, no? The upside would be due to slowing inflation, budget catch up, the performance of domestic tourism activities, but it will always be threatened by downsides such as weak private construction due to the relatively high interest rates until now, external trade softness, and of course, no, climate change impacts.
Well, speaking of inflation, it eased to 0.9%. So do you think this will be sustained?
Okay, yes, the inflation can be sustained. No? A sub 1%, no, inflation is probably the trough. No? And for the succeeding months and quarters, I am now expecting a gentle reacceleration into the second half as base effects would now fade. But still, no, regardless of that, inflation would remain to stay, no? Would remain below target, midpoint this year. But this is conditioned on food and energy prices remaining to be manageable and benign.
But do you think the Philippines is, could be experiencing deflation? Is it a possibility this year?
Well, for deflation, I do not see it. I do not see it happening because while the year-on-year inflation for July actually dipped to 0.9%, we can see that on the month-on-month basis, it is slightly positive, and policy settings are not contractionary until now. Weather and global oil also cap the downside, so it's very unlikely.
Well, let's talk about jobs now. The PSA cited more job opportunities as the reason for lower unemployment rate. Do you agree?
The quality of jobs being created, it is improving. I would have to support it's improving, but it remains to be uneven because more wage or salaried posts, no, particularly in services and public projects, no, part-time hours or part-time workers, low-hour roles, and informal workers remain to be elevated in certain industries like retail, hospitality, even agriculture.
And well, you're talking about the quality of jobs. Ano yung assessment mo dito?
Well, again, quality would have to go side by side with the reduction in unemployment. So we need to focus on genuine job creation rather than simply just exits from the labor force. Quality remains to be increasing, but it is still mixed. But the good thing about this one is that headline gains, as far as employment is concerned, they are real.
Your unemployment forecast for July, please, JP.
For July, no? For July 2025, unemployment rate would continue to be stable, around 3.6 to 3.9%, putting the national average for 2025 around 3.7% to 4%. And the drivers of the future, no, our forecast for unemployment would be, the reduction in unemployment would be tourism peak season. It will provide employment again to many of our kababayans. Public works are now hiring, the easing inflation, and unemployment might be driven by risks from weather events and, of course, the construction slowdown, particularly in residential buildings.
Earlier, we talked about inflation. So I'm just wondering, do you think the BSP has room to cut interest rates this month? And if so, by how many basis points?
Okay. So,
Pwede pa ba?
Looking at the behavior of BSP recently and with the trend in inflation for the Philippines, yes, there's always a room for this year, no, for the BSP to cut rates, but I would be very cautious about it to just at 25 basis points.
Why?
Given that we have deeply positive real rates, inflation is far below target. However, we need to monitor its impact on foreign exchange.
Yeah.
Because a very aggressive move for the BSP would now risk the Philippine peso to a volatile behavior. So I'm seeing right now, given the macro indicators, that a hold then signal path might be the best way to look at the direction of rate cuts for now.
And lastly, what is your inflation forecast for August and the remainder of the year?
Okay. So since base effects would now be curtailed, for August, I'm actually seeing an above 1% to 1.5% year-on-year inflation for August, which will put the full year 2025 average to 1.8 to 2%, still below the target band of the government. But this is always a risk by climate change impacts as well as changes in oil prices, given the geopolitical situation in the Middle East and in other territories where oil plays an important role.
Well, thank you very much, JP Rivera, for joining us this morning.
Okay, thank you.